Hey Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. I managed to recover 2 office PCs that I built about 10 years ago. I wanted to have a look inside and I wanted to see if I can roast myself, see if I made any weird PC building mistakes over 10 years ago. I don't think so, but we will find out together. I'm pretty perfect, right? Let's do a look at Nick's old build things. Don't even ask how I managed to get these PCs because yeah, let's take a look.
This video is brought to you by MSI and their brand new OLED gaming monitors. Endgame OLED gaming monitors are finally here. Now is the perfect time to upgrade. Take your immersion to the next level with stunning QD OLED performance from MSI. Experience up to a blazing fast 360Hz refresh rate at 1440p or glorious 4K resolution at 240Hz for the ultimate gaming and creator setup. With true-to-life color calibration that's ready to go right out of the box, VESA Display HDR True Black 400 certification, unbeatable 0.03 millisecond grey-to-grey response times, KVM support, a massive array of connectivity ports, and an impressive 3-year OLED warranty, there's never been a better time to go OLED. Find out more about MSI's new range of QD OLED gaming monitors via the links in the video description. Get back to work, Nick.
These are all from the Broadwell and Haswell generations, and I think they're either i5s or i3s. Judging by this one, this is an i3. This case was a really interesting case when it came out. This is the Cooler Master N300, and for the time, it had quite a bit of cooling support. Obviously, this is pre-TG times, but it did allow you to install 240mm rads at the top, plenty of fan support. They're probably very dirty inside, and yeah. Disgusting. I also want to know if these still work. Oh, that is actually so gross. Look how much dust is on that CPU cooler. That's insane. I don't reckon they were in this condition when they were still being used, because if they were, that's just crazy to me. I highly doubt it. I didn't really care that much about cable management. These were office computers. I still use cable ties and stuff like that. Maybe I didn't have screws, I was just lazy, but check out this SSD mounting. Look at this, let's zoom in a bit here. This is a SanDisk SSD. One screw, and this isn't even the right size screw. Oh man, why did I do that? Maybe I was in a rush for some reason. Oh man, that screw hole is mangled. This screw, right, just for a bit of context, this does not go in there. It shouldn't work. It does, because somehow your boy has managed to rethread that screw hole. Oh, that's embarrassing. I shouldn't show you guys this stuff. This case is a full ATX case. It's so tiny. Most M-ATX boards will go a little bit further out as well, but this is just, it looks like an ITX board at this point. I don't know why I use such a big case. I guess maybe because this was at a time where ATX cases were the cheapest and M-ATX boards were the cheapest, and building an office computer, this was all probably just for the sake of being cheap and usable. Looking at some other things here, I did use all the screws for the motherboard, so I'm not that much of an idiot. The board's not in terrible condition either. We'll probably end up cleaning this one up. I love the fact that the power supply is a 350 watt Corsair power supply, but the level of grime inside this thing is insane. Let me get something to scoop it up to show you guys what I mean. Maybe not the best measure of filth, but that is so much grime. I should be wearing a mask for this. There's no way that this computer was used in this state. It's just not possible. I don't know why I'm doing this in my clean studio. None of the slot covers have even been popped out on this case ever, but I would say this case is probably still usable. I do have an idea for this case for a project that you guys might find interesting, so yeah, stay tuned for that. If you were to ask me what is one of your list of favorite cases of all time, what would number one be? I think number one would be pretty close to being the Antec 300. This case in its day, well, at least for me, had so much potential for modding and just so much potential for storage, and the front just looks so sick. It reminded me of a really professional looking workstation, especially for a lot of the PCs that I built in the 300. I didn't have any optical drives. I was already at the point where I ditched them, but if I was to add stuff like mobile racks for removable drives, it had plenty of space for it. And this was a solid steel case that only cost around 65 Aussie dollars when I was building with these things. I've probably built at least 60 computers with this case. I loved it. I think when I had my first gen i7, I had it in one of these. This thing was just so solid, so good. For me, it's iconic. I love it so much. Even stuff like this, but this had 2 thumb screws and it just hinged and you could lift it away. Look at that. Absolute stunner of a case. This is what I've been saying over the years with Antec making some of the best cases back in the day. This thing would have released, I'm gonna say around 2007, 2008. People were building in this case for like probably 6 or 7 years. It was very popular. I mean, at least it was for me because I built so many because I liked it. But look, I'm gonna bang on a bit more about this, guys, but I built servers in these cases. I don't know what it is. It's just something about it. Even the power button feels good. That one's a bit mushy. I don't know why this cover's been pushed in. That kind of offends me. I'm gonna keep this as a case in my collection. It is a freaking heavy case too, like properly heavy. I do remember building this system. It's got an i5 in it. I don't remember which one it has, probably one of the lower end ones, but I built this for someone who was using Photoshop and InDesign. It has a graphics card in it. I don't know what it is. I'm kind of excited to find out. But I'm gonna guess it's an NVIDIA card, but again, I have no idea what it is. This system has another Corsair power supply. Corsair has always made pretty good power supplies. Another 450 watt, that's all you needed back in the days. In fact, this was probably too much for this system. Stock cooler, nothing exciting. The cable management appears to be a bit better than what I'd done in the past. It's using a bunch of zip ties to hold everything down and into place. This is a modular power supply. This would have been one of the first modular power supplies back then. I didn't cut any of the stuff off the zip ties. I was probably doing a speed build. I used to be able to build PCs at the same speed as I build them now, probably even faster because there was no RGB and none of that stuff. We have a Molex power cable for this fan, little speed controller in the stock fans on the Antec 300. I remember on my own 300 system, I had custom fans like UV and all that kind of crap going on before RGB was a thing. This system uses an MATX board. The reason for that was probably it needed to save money somewhere. There is something really strange that I noticed with this system as well. I can definitely spot it. It only has one RAM module for some reason. It's in the first slot, which is usually the one furthest away from the CPU, so that's fine. So I won't roast myself for that. However, I did notice for some reason, I put the power LED on the other side of the header. This was actually pretty common back in the day. I used this side just out of habit because more often than not with older cases, the power LED would have had a split cable with 2 DuPont connectors and not a combined DuPont connector like you'd find on everything else. Yeah, that's what it's called, guys, a DuPont connector if you didn't know. This one appears to have a single SATA drive. Let's see what it is. This one's got a 500 gig WD caviar drive in it. For the time was probably all it needed. It is absolutely filthy. Let's test the dirt levels, and there's just not that dirty. Maybe that's to do more with the Antec 300 not being as open at the top. That Cooler Master N300 was basically completely open. You just let all the dust fall in. Yeah, this one's not too bad. I'm gonna be honest with you guys now though. I'm getting a bit of a sore throat from all the dust from these systems. Here's what I wanna do. I wanna see if these systems power up. Not doing any trickery here. I'm gonna plug it all in with you guys. Got a DVI cable on a period correct monitor. I haven't even tried to power these up. I'm as curious as you guys are. I hope these work. Everything all plugged in. We're gonna do this together. Oh, obviously no VGA cable because that's the wrong input, dude. That's very quiet. That's really quiet. Oh, it works. Okay, well, that one posts. Let's see if it boots into the OS that's on the drive. Preparing automatic repair. Oh, that's awesome. Hopefully we don't get stuck in a repair loop. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Whatever's on these drives, I'm gonna wipe them, but... This thing... Yeah, it blue screened. I love that. That's so good. Enter to try again. Oh, it's booting. Why did you give me that nefarious blue warning and then want to boot anyway? This is really slow for an SSD.
5 minutes later.
Oh, it's doing something. It's doing something. It's doing something. Why is the screen black? What is going on with this thing? Surely it's not that slow. Surely an SSD is not that slow. There's no magic smoke or anything fun happening. I hear the CPU fan ramping up and down. Oh look, oh it's doing a thing. Oh, okay. I guess it works. It's still connected to a domain. I'm gonna blur all that out for you guys, but I think I remember the admin password for this domain, so I could probably sign into this computer. I thought I remembered the local machine passwords for all these machines and the domain password, but looks like I don't. Well, they probably changed them. I feel like they've pushed that in on purpose so it could be a handle. USB in, power in, and DVI cable into the Gravis card. Cross your fingers for no magic smoke. Oh. Oh. That made a very satisfying spinning rust sound. It works. Although that fan's not spinning at the back. Oh, listen to that sound. That booted up really quickly. Compared to the other machine on an SSD, that was stupidly fast. Okay, I know whose computer this was. I can sign into these computers if I really want. I have a domain controller on our network and I could add these to our domain and still log into them with the admin password. But I'm not gonna do that because we don't really use the domain controller other than for things that I'm testing rather than, we don't use a domain like that in our home network because we've got too many different things going on at one time. I do love the sound of that spinning drive though.
Many hours later.
Oh, damn. It says there's no login servers available, but I just put this in the VLAN for the domain controller. What we'll do is we'll remove the other DNS server from that VLAN. We'll pop the Ethernet cable out, ladies and gents. I don't know why I'm trying to do this. There's a much easier way to do this, and the much easier way is to not do this. No login servers available, but I know that there is. I just want to know what graphics card it is. I think it's going to be something really stupid and bad.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
DHCP only on that VLAN. And that VLAN will only service that domain traffic for the domain controller that I'm running. So let's see if we can finally get in here because I know exactly the security database on the server does not have a computer account for this workstation trust relationship.
I found all 900 pine cones.
It's a waste of time. I don't know, I'm wasting my time trying to do this. Let's just do it the old school way and just pull it out. Oh, it's a 750 Ti. This is a terrible GPU. But you know what's really good about having this now? I now have a crappy old GPU that I can use to test stuff with. Let's give it a quick clean, see how many people we can trigger with this cleaning method. Is this the best way to clean a card? Absolutely. Have I been cleaning retro hardware for the past few weeks? I definitely have. This is a really good technique. It's working well. I'm not using brake cleaner, I'm not using contact cleaner, I'm using isopropyl alcohol and an old toothbrush. I don't know why I'm even sharing this with you guys. This is so dumb and pointless. You might be asking why you even bothering doing this kind of stuff. Well, the answer is it interests me and I kind of wanted to go for a bit of a trip down memory lane to see what my techniques were, and not a lot has changed. The few things that have stood out to me is I can be a bit lazy when it comes to building PCs and doing certain things. That hasn't changed that much, although I am much cleaner when it comes to cable management. As well as that, these are office PCs that I didn't really care about and they didn't have panels on them to look into them. So essentially the only person that was ever going to look inside these machines was going to be me or someone who also didn't really care about what was going on inside a system like this. I've been kind of thinking about the direction I want to take certain aspects of content. I really love retro stuff and old stuff, and that's mainly what I consume. And after the lot that we picked up a couple of weeks ago, I'll link to that video in the description. I've been restoring a whole bunch of hardware and tinkering quite a lot and building old systems, and I'm in the process of putting together a bunch of period correct PCs. They're gonna look period correct, but there's gonna be things that make them a bit modern. And essentially, I want to have a PC from every single generation from the 486 up, because I just think that would be cool to have as a collection. Let's say you wanted to test a bit of software, like play a game from a certain generation. I could just pull out a whole computer and just do it that way rather than using emulation or using it on modern hardware. Maybe I want that old experience. It's just the nostalgia in me. But I hope you enjoyed whatever this video is going to turn out to be. I gotta say, Antec 300, what an iconic case. I absolutely loved it. Everyone will say, oh, the 900 was the case of the time that was so much better, but there's just something about the 300 that I love so much. And this N300 was cool too, but kind of boring. This is a sick case, guys. I have some really cool plans with this one right here. This is, yeah. You'll see. You'll see. Coming soon, all that stuff. There's just a lot of planning and stuff because I've been collecting other parts to do these retro PC builds, but everything is either really expensive or broken or just taking forever to get here. I'll explain more when it gets to that time because there's some really cool things I want to show you that maybe you've never seen before that might interest you. Anyway, guys, I'm out. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. Whatever this video is, I don't know. I just got really dirty for no reason. Yeah. Enjoy the look of these things because they're not going to look like this for very much longer, I can tell you that for a fact.